I am going to be reviewing The Fifth Sacred Thing while I paint on myself here. Big concepts of how could we actually be non-violent in war prevention, any of that kind of stuff as community, as society, like, and healing. This is where I'm going to go with this. So stay with me. Some people enjoy doing makeup. I enjoy the feeling of paint and different brushes on my skin. And the fave thing for me is binging cinema, TV, books, etc. So here I am, art for art's sake. Dive into musings around life, relationship, intimacy, aliveness, and enjoying the roller coaster that is this life. So come use and play. All right, here we are. Let's see. I have decided today I want to use purple because it is all healing vibes up in here. And then, of course, we'll go complementary for that. And then I'm going to mix in a little bit of orange. So as we are diving in, I am going to be going into The Fifth Sacred Thing by Starhawk. This book, I keep wanting to know when it was actually published. Let's see if I can find that quickly here. Okay, copyright 1993. And even in knowing that, it's like just knowing little bits of who this author is, and she's really amazing human out there. It's like you can tell that it easily could have been written in the 70s or something, and just there's concepts of that, or somebody who's lived in the 70s, which I actually have no idea exactly her age or all of those kinds of things. And no mirror today, so we're going to be working with everything that is my canvas that I can see. All right, so the book, I'm going to do my best to not really give spoilers, okay? Again, with even just the introduction, talking about war and nonviolence as a notion, I don't feel like that really gives much away. You have to read the book, all right? So I feel like this is a must read for anybody who is, I want a big brush today. They're not that big. Anybody who is in the alternative healing world, okay? Because especially energy works, things like that. I think that it's so powerful for anyone who does energy work, in the sense of breathing in and really seeing how what we do is real, okay? I can speak to that. Oh, you're not gonna be able to see it like that. I can speak to that for myself anyway. Let's just go over here where I know you can see better. Okay. That was something that was really profound for me, was being able to tune into yes, this is what I do. Just thinking about grounding, for instance. Again, that doesn't give much away. If you're wanting a little synopsis of the story, it starts out with a healer. Very first chapter, it starts out with a healer helping helping a woman who's giving birth, and it's about this community that is based in San Francisco in the Bay Area, that they prevented having the stewards come in and impose their way of doing things during what was called the opposition. And now we're in the future, and it is they're for instance, right, off the bat in the book, you find out there's this epidemic that they've been kind of fighting with, and so that's where the healers come in, and this main healer, typical healer syndrome, isn't taking time to rest because she's so busy healing all the other people, and all of that. So that's kind of like the basis. There's this community that withstood that. The rest of the world is like, I think maybe you can see over here, is dealing with these stewards and this other way of living that has like this like righteousness to it, like these 4 rights or something like that. So it's different than like the 4 sacred things, and then you get to like the 5th sacred thing, right? So, ooh, that's fun. I really like that. I really like the orange being trickled in there. So there's some fun concepts in this. Like, of course, it being based in San Francisco. Now, just like as a side note, like I lived in the Bay Area for 4 years and I loved it. So for me, it was kind of fun to just like be revisiting there. You know, like if they talked about like Mount Tam, it's like, oh, yay. Or they talk about different parts of the city or anything, which just makes me feel like I need to go back there. Anyway, just to visit. So there's like aspects of all of that, which is like really fun if you at all are familiar with that area. But in general, it's cool how it like creates itself as like this little pod and how it runs, and it shows the way community can function if it's actually working together as community and with like similar values, right? So in this, people do travel, or how do I say that? You get glimpses of when people are in other places, okay? And there's also the aspect, like things like in that futuristic zone of it being like it got all taken over. Things like flying aren't an option anymore. It's like not an option to fly. So you can't just like go fly to France if you want to go fly to France. And it's like really interesting. Okay, but some really big fun things in this have to do with like the healing and the nonviolence and even relating and relationship, okay? So the reason I mentioned that, like you see people in these other places, you get to experience the contrast. So there's the contrast of the community living, right? That they're working together. They have a system that works so that there aren't these hierarchies and everybody's needs are taken care of. Oh, I hope I didn't mess up the microphone for you guys. Sorry. And so it's like this amazing, amazing setup and thing. And it's a way like the world could work. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that I liked about this book is it brought these perspectives of potential of how we can get along as humans, that like there are nooks of people who like do these things and live in this way. And so one of the big things to me when I'm talking about like relationship is like, it's not that people didn't get jealous, but there's like a very different vibe in the San Francisco community where you wouldn't do something to like intentionally hurt someone, but because there was a little bit more of this like free flowing aspects, it's like the lens is different. So thinking of like somebody who's in this certain space of like mindset versus this other type of mindset. And we can think about it from that place of like hierarchy and possession and things versus like openness, community, connection. And it's just so interesting. Let's see how this yellow looks here. Yeah, I kind of like that. I know I did a video with that yellow in it. It was harder to see, so I wondered if it would look pretty cool on the purple there. Okay, so that is very interesting. Interesting way to start to see other perspectives on like how we could live, how we could relate and interrelate. Then we have like those healing aspects. Again, it was so awesome as like a healer. I don't love the term, but that I could like feel amplifications of that. Like, yes, like when I'm grounding, this is what I'm doing and it feels so good, right? So amplifications of that and how healing is possible. There's a whole thread of this, like, and different ways to heal and how we can read the body and read disease and all this stuff, right? So cool. And then the other big thing is the components of the nonviolence. So like I said, like right off the bat, you're like finding out this is a community that lives that like, I think it was called the oppression. And it like avoided that. It avoided being taken over. And so the question becomes like, how do we get the whole world to live like this and to be able to navigate and experience connection, and the fact that we have choice really becomes a key component. And it's fascinating, and I just loved every moment of it. Ooh, here the coldness of the paint feels really amplified. So yes, so my point is, it's a great book for like inspiration on like community and living in harmony with one another. Ooh, tell me some funny things. Funny angles. And being able to like hold our ground and do stuff in a peaceful manner. And part of that is like the concept of how can we like really shift the consciousness of people. And there are just so many people in the world right now who do work with consciousness and like helping with that. And for me too, it's like bringing in those aspects of play and beauty and understanding and everything that I speak to, because for me, it's like, how do we have more pleasure in our lives, more joy, all of it, so that we can be living in harmony, whether that's like balanced health harmony or harmony within our relationships, oopsies, or harmony as a collective, and being able to respect people's choices and being able to be taken care of without this weird like, oh, but we all have to like do stuff we hate just to survive kind of thing, you know? Because like that makes me crazy. It's like, we can build a different world. Like, we created the one we're in, and I would love to see even more. But like I said, there are communities that are doing some of this. So, all right, this one's just like a hot mess as far as like visuals go, but definitely felt very cool. I do like all the sensations that have been going through here, and I felt like it was very appropriate in thinking of just like life and how it can be kind of messy. It can create these things that make us a little bit tougher than we want to be sometimes, and learning how to like soften into the mess with the mess. And yeah, so again, if you're into some sort of inspiring, you know, concepts of awakening consciousness so we can live in a more harmonious world, The Fifth Sacred Thing by Starhawk, highly recommend. All right, bye.